Thanks for checking out the BoshNRoll channel. If you want to see me play your deck, hang out with me in the amazing BoshNRoll community in Discord, access to my lists and sideboard guides before tournaments, book an individual coaching session, or just generally want to support what's going on here, check out the Patreon and YouTube membership options. For the finest Magic the Gathering apparel on the market, use code BoshNRoll for 10% off your order at coalesceapparel.shop. Moxfield.com is the easiest way to build a Magic deck online. If you want to play what I'm playing, use my affiliate link to support the channel while you shop for cards at tcgplayer.com and play any deck anytime on Magic Online with a cardhoarder.com loan account. Thanks for being here. Let's go play some Magic. Welcome back to the BoshNRoll channel. Today I'm playing Vintage at the request of Patreon subscriber Francis York Morgan, and I'm playing a deck that he calls Slightly Bigger Lurrus Control. I played stock Lurrus Control a couple weeks ago on the channel. It was a lot of fun. I do enjoy this style of deck in Vintage. There's nothing specifically broken going on here, unless you consider just Ancestral Recall and Time Walk broken, which they are, but by Vintage standards, there's no turn one win, there's no combo kill. We are putting creatures into play and attacking with them to win the game. What Francis has done here to change from the stock list is there are no Ragavans in this list. One I played last week had 3 Ragavan, no Lavinia. It had fewer lands, 17 versus 19. What the extra lands do is they give you a Mystic Sanctuary package. Mystic Sanctuary is pretty nutso in a deck with Ancestral Recall and Time Walk. You also have Gush that can pick up the Mystic Sanctuary and replay it and get another Time Walk out of it. Gush was not in the list I played last time either. The threats are a little heftier. There's a Lavinia in the main deck here and an extra third path Iconoclast that Francis has said is closer to Mentor than Young Pyromancer. I believe it. We can't play Mentor in this deck because we are a Lurrus companion. The core of the deck obviously still the same though. This is probably 5 to 7 cards off of stock, but you can't really mess with Ancestral Recall, Force of Will, Time Walk, the Moxen, Black Lotus. A lot of this core is pretty locked, but not having Ragavan is a big change. That card did a lot in my previous league, and all my opponents will expect that I have it, but I won't. That'll be interesting to see if that shakes out in any sort of observable way. One thing that this deck is not doing, and neither was the last one, and there were a lot of comments about it, is Underworld Breach, which is a card you can play with Lurrus. It's a 2-mana enchantment. Just 1 or 2 breaches and a Brain Freeze give you a combo kill just tucked into your control deck, and that's perfectly viable. There is Jeskai Lurrus Breach Xerox out there. It's a thing you can do. Francis has chosen not to do it, just like Moore did in the last video. And that's not right or wrong. It's just a thing that exists in the format. Your opponents have to play like, what if you have Breach? Whether you have it or not. And if they're playing like you have Breach and you don't have it, you're at the advantage because they're sandbagging removal, sandbagging counterspells. Maybe they've sideboarded in Graveyard Hate that you barely care about. There's a lot to like about a high-powered juke existing in the format and not going for it. It's just a little level game. Make your opponent play whack-a-mole with what they think you're doing. And that's the deck. We're going to cast Ancestral Recall a lot. We're going to play Dreadhorde Arcanist that casts Ancestral Recall again. And then we're going to loop Time Walks with Mystic Sanctuary to get the game over. This is Francis York Morgan's Slightly Bigger Jeskai Lurrus. Let's check it out. I'm on the play for round 1. My companion's been revealed. I'm not enough of a maniac to keep a no-lander with Gitaxian Probe. I'm going to send this one. Okay, I like this hand a lot more. The bottom Misty Rainforest. And I think I want to bobble my opponent here, because I'm going to cast Preordain with my land, meaning that bobbling myself doesn't get any value. And any hint of what they're doing makes my Preordain better. They're doing something with Force of Will in it. It doesn't give me a lot of info, but it's not nothing either. Volcanic Island and Preordain here. And all these lands to the bottom. Francis, your 2 extra lands tech is kind of hurting here. Do I want to run out my Lotus? I don't think so. We know they're not shops. They're not going to punish a Lotus unless they have like turn 1 Lavinia. So now they know anyway. I did keep a 4-lander, and then I saw 3 cards, they were all lands, and then my bauble draw was also a mana source. This was a pretty tough beat on this one. if we didn't know about this Force of Will, I could Black Lotus, put Lurrus in hand, play Lurrus, play Black Lotus next turn, and get the party running. Or play Bauble. But I can't go in on that. Bruiser Daddy, okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I could spend Lotus to get this cruise going. Here's Mox Pearl. I would be able to leave some number of things in my graveyard. I think I have to do this. Just draw out the Force of Will. Black Lotus. 4 cards in my graveyard. It's about to be 5. I have to decide if I want to leave Lotus and Bauble in my graveyard, or just Lotus or Bauble. Blue, blue, blue. White. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, I'm going to leave Lotus and Bauble in my graveyard. Let's help Lurrus be successful here. If they force, I hope we see a Tinker hit the Exile Zone. After some bemoaning of how many lands and mana sources I saw off all the cards I looked at on turn 1, and this is the power of the deck. That did put a lot of cards in my graveyard. Ooh, okay. And they let that resolve. They must be going for a combo kill next turn. My Black Lotus is already spent. I've already made my land drop. I don't think brainstorming now will get me very far. And scroll, okay. Ancestral. And passing the turn. They know about the Wasteland. They either couldn't play around it, or this Underground Sea is bait and they're trying to get a Urza Saga going. I'm going to start with my Brainstorm here. I can use Tundra pretty freely. I have Mox Pearl that's doing the work. What's up? Okay, deck coming together here. I'm going to put back 2 of these lands. And I'm going to Time Walk first, see if that works. Okay, that worked. I can Wasteland them next turn. I'm going to fetch and cast Ancestral now. I do know about the Force of Will, so I could Mystical Tutor here instead for protection for the Ancestral. If I'm Mystical for Pyroblast right now, it puts them in kind of an awkward spot. Yeah, I'm going to try to Tutor now. We're good on that. Just realized there's no Flusterstorms in this main deck. Old. But I like it. Pyroblast on top of my deck. Let's go to my turn. Ancestral Recall, target myself. They've seen the Pyroblast. Do they want to spend a Force of Will on this? They basically can't. Mox Ruby gets Expressive Iteration going. I'll have my land drop. Force of Negation to hand. Volcanic Island to the bottom. Exile Ponder. And I'll fire off this Ponder. Mental Misstep, that's the perfect find here. I did just tap myself out of red by committing to the Wasteland. Pyroblast is off. I have Force of Will and Misstep. That was a pretty good turn cycle, I dare say. Okay, they were sandbagging Urza Saga over there. I have a second Wasteland lined up. Mental Misstep for this Ancestral Recall. They're really holding on to that Force of Will. And they know I have Pyroblast. They're letting me untap, even with the information they have. Wasteland the Saga, get rid of that. Then Lurrus to hand. Invest in success. I have multiple layers of protection here as we go into turn where I'm about to deploy Lurruses. Remember when they probed me on turn 1 and my hand was just nothing? And now we're here somehow. Welcome to Vintage. I have to use all my white sources to play Lurrus. Can't leave up Plow here. Force of Will pitching PO. I'll Pyroblast this. Finally spent the Force. Finally given them something worth targeting. And I think I'd rather Bauble, but if I Black Lotus, I can hardcast Force of Negation and pitchcast Force. That's probably the place to be. I can start Baubling next turn when I have tons of mana. Remember what it feels like to have Lurrus in play? Good stuff. The last safe bastion of Lurrus gaming here in Vintage. I said that in the last league too, and people were reminding me about whatever the fake Arena version of Pioneer is. I don't know. I don't play Arena. Apparently it's still legal there. Okay, they're cracking a fetch. 3 mana available. Or, nope, still not mana on that. 2 cards left, and I have 2 counterspells in my hand. Blue, blue, blue. Force of Negation the hard way. Splat. Yeah, so they were holding on to that Force for so long to try to get this Tinker through. That makes perfect sense. And it just... And then their final gambit was flushing out the face-up Pyroblast to try to get the to tinker on the stack. Sure. In hindsight's 2020, but if they just force a will my Treasure Cruise, I'm never playing that game. Okay, Lavinia is insane against this deck. Pyroblast and Flusterstorm are all good. Wasteland is fine. I don't know that I need 5 of those in the deck, because I have Strip Mine and 3 Wastelands in the main. I don't think I need number 5. Dress Down's good against Saga. Where's the Plowshares? Kind of medium here. I like all my counter spells. Do I go down to 0 removal spells? What am I worried about here? I have 4 Wasteland effects plus Dress Down that I can loop with Lurrus to keep constructs under control. We saw blue-black. I think they fetched a Tundra on the last turn, if I'm remembering correctly, so there might be a Monastery Mentor in this list. I think with the onslaught of Pyroblast and Flusterstorms I'm bringing in, I don't need Force of Negation anymore. If I get dumpstered on turn 1, then good job. That's vintage, but I don't think I need to respect it that much. Okay, I'm going to run with this. We could have the Wasteland in, we could have the Serenity in, could have a Plow in. I'm currently not doing any of that. We'll see if I get new information going into game 3. I'll keep this functional hand and hope I don't lose on turn 1. I did show them Force of Negation game 1, which they don't know that I boarded out. Let's start with a Ponder. I'd love to find a Pyroblast here. Probably. Are they going to Ancestral in response? What's going on? Flusterstorm. All right. The hyper aggro Fluster on my Ponder. Not fighting over that. Mostly can't, but also wouldn't if I could. Mox Ruby. Got him. Respect Pyroblast now. All right. Got a little Lavinia of your own, who I can remove cleanly. Iconoclast. I'm just going to get Tundra and kill this Lavinia. White, red. I've met all the rules. It's a 2-mana spell. I spent mana on it. And pass the turn. This Saga. 4 cards left. Oh, back up Lavinia. Alright. My deck's a Lurrus deck, and I have 2 lands in play, so Lavinia is doing a lot of work here already. I can play Iconoclast and strip the Saga. Here's Iconoclast. Strip Mine, take out the Urza Saga. And pass the turn, hope to do Iconoclast stuff next turn. Demonic Tutor, that's a powerful spell. The only thing I can really do about it with Lavinia in play is Flusterstorm. This is not a blue spell for Pyroblast, and I can't force of will or negation with Lavinia in play right now. A DT pass. Setting up for next turn. Time Walk. Do like that card a lot. EI has to hit a land if I do that first. I could Time Walk, see what happens. Now I'm going for the big money here. Blue-red EI. Because I can't cast Mox in here. It does have to be an actual untapped land, which we did hit. Pyroblast to my hand. Red Horde to the bottom. Exile Volcanic Island and play it. Time Walk. See if this is worth a counterspell. Nope. I'm going to attack with Iconoclast and offer the trade. Not think they'd be interested, and they weren't. Go to my bonus turn, which is going to get crazy. Merchant Scroll for Ancestral Recall. And then Mystic Sanctuary puts Time Walk on top of my deck. And Ancestral Recall myself. And that resolved. And then Time Walk. We're doing the thing here. All of that resolved. Gonna attack with all my creatures again. And now I'll be untapping with Kill Lavinia, counter multiple spells as a line available. And it's my turn now. Treasure Cruise. I can just kill Lavinia and then Treasure Cruise. I like the sound of that. Pyroblast Lavinia. These Jeskai decks are the reason that EO largely fell off. They're such a bad matchup. Okay, they're just conceding. They see me delving for Treasure Cruise and they're just out of here. That was an absolute kicking on one of the finer matchups that this deck has. Let's go.
You come here to level up at Magic. To level up as a software engineer, check out the new YouTube series Dev Better, hosted by the founder of 7 Factor Software and Magic player, Jeremy Duvall. 7Factor's small teams of high-performing engineers build custom mobile apps, APIs, and highly scalable systems for Fortune 500 companies and ambitious startups with great ideas. If you'd like to hire 7Factor, or maybe join their team, contact them through their website at 7factor.io. And don't forget to subscribe to 7Factor's YouTube for every episode of Dev Better.
I'm on the play in round 2 with lands and Force of Will and some stuff to do to keep these. Now I have kind of an interesting decision of, do I want to cash in my bauble immediately? I even have the fetch land to make decisions about my own top card. Or I could wait one turn to cash in with Third Path Iconoclast, and I don't think that's where I want to be. There's enough spells in this deck that a 1/1 is not going to change a game of Vintage that meaningfully. And I am going to target myself with Bauble. Scalding Tarn on top. I want another land. My hand has Gush in it, but if they just waste me, I'll feel pretty bad about it. Okay. I'll keep this land on top. Like if I fetch to shuffle away the land, then get wasted, and then don't have a land, it's a bad deal. Underground Sea. Okay. Underground Sea, no play. Drew another land. All right. Wish I had shuffled now. I'm just going to fire off on Iconoclast. I am not without interaction here on the Force of Will. They get Doomsdayed all next turn. Like if they can resolve Doomsday and work through their pile and beat a Force of Will next turn, you got me. Force pitching Brainstorm. Okay. I'll just let their force go away there. I'll take that him to Turok. Now I have a force to send back. So if this is Bug, then it makes a lot of sense why they would fight Iconoclast. Because they don't have a combo kill either. Okay. This is what's going on here. Aracroa Sneak, my goodness. Okay. I'm going to force... I'm actually going to pitch Gush here. Because Dress Down can stop the next initiative. Ugh, we didn't get there. Alright. Well, we're playing against Bug Initiative, apparently. And I have chosen the wrong card. Pitched a force based on the fact that they had Flusterstorm. Yeah, this makes perfect sense why they counter my Iconoclast. If I knew more about their deck, would have forced that, obviously. Now we're in trouble. Alright, I think I just need to shove Lurrus in my hand. Because I need to get a creature very quickly. They have the Swamp in their hand they just tutored for. They're going into the Forge. They have a 3/6 flying now. Swamp. Oko, Thief of Crowns. Yeah, that card's beatable from this position. Or just generally ever. A Sneak is sneaking in. Expressive Iteration. This Oko is seriously cramping my style. I'm going to try to EI here. If I can clear the Sneak, set up Lurrus for next turn. I guess put a force in my hand. Force on the bottom, exile this Volk. I'll play Volk. And yep, this game is over. Yeah, maybe I should have bobbled them on turn 1. Then if I see this Sneak or I see the Oko, then I force back on Iconoclast because it's such a monster. I just played like they were Doomsday trying to keep pressure off. And that's just not what's going on. The Voidwalker. Okay. That certainly is another card there is. Do I have any outs here? I could fire off the Dress Down to draw a card, but then they know I have Dress Down. And if it doesn't do me any good, then I'm not going to bother. And it's not going to do me any good. Okay. This game lost to odd information or lack of information. Trying to make good choices on incomplete information. That's the Magic player experience. Sneak is a blue card. Swords to Plowshares is relevant here. I don't think I want Lavinia. It does have the important text line of creature to attack and block with. For some negation, it looks like they're doing mostly creature stuff over there. Can lose that. I can shave a Wasteland. This deck, we're up 2 lands off the stock list anyway, so shaving a land is not gonna break my life too badly. Okay, I'll try it this way. Okay, this one's kind of awkward. I am gonna keep it, but I'm not necessarily happy about it. I have a removal spell. I don't currently have a counter spell, but Ponder and Brainstorm are powerful cards. Okay, keep 2 Preordains. and pass the turn. Need to find a creature or a dress down pretty quickly here. Dr. S. Okay. Got that one covered. I think I want to end the Death Right. Save Plow for a bigger creature. And then Preordain. I can bottom the Mystic Sanctuary I know is there. I'll take a Mental Misstep. I have to assume Ancestral Recall's in this deck. Soul Ring, Mana Vault, taking me off white with a Strip Mine. I don't mind that. Shit. Or they could just draw Black Lotus twice in 2 games. Okay, this could be Opposition Agent. That would be really bad for me. I actually like all the cards in my hand, so I'm going to Preordain. But I'm going to play my land first in case it's Hull Breacher. Okay, Force of Will and Mox Sapphire, both cards I'm happy with finding. I'm going to top here and pass the turn. Found a Bayou, and they're going for Sneak. We've seen the Flusterstorm out of them already. I have to try to force this. There's not really another play here. If I force pitching Misstep, then I can respond to Flusterstorm with Brainstorm and see what shakes loose. There's that. I could also just take my draw the Mox, play Expressive Iteration, plow this thing, and try to get a creature. Save my Brainstorm for higher value later. And my only hits are 3 more Force of Wills. Okay. The initiative is introduced. Shoot it up their Swamp. I'm drawing my Mox. Iteration first. Solo my land drop here. Mox and are broken. Okay. Well, I would have had to shuffle to cast the Brainstorm, but Force of Will is here. Do I want Pyroblast or Force? I want Pyroblast. Pyroblast to my hand. Force to the bottom. Exile Mox Pearl. Play Pearl. And I think I want to fetch now. So maybe that doesn't matter. That only matters if they Opposition Agent. I will fetch now anyway. I'll just put Volcanic Island into play, because that's the one I'm going to get anyway. And then we'll see if they go into the Forge, and I'll try to take some pressure off with Plow. Straight into Lost Well. And I'm going to Plow before they draw. Bottomed both off of the Lost Well. Wasteland, pretty good. I could Brainstorm now. I also could just not do that. All right, I'll float blue and pretend that I have a blue spell. Not going to Wasteland, though. Or Brainstorm. Draw for turn. Preordain. Preordain is better than Brainstorm here. Oh, that's the card I need. It's not in the order I need it, though. Do I want this Wasteland? Yes. All right. Iconoclast on top, Wasteland on top. Play Wasteland. And I could hit them, keep them on 2 mana, because we know they have Swamp, or I could put Lurrus in hand that I can't play right now. I think I want a Wasteland. I can take them off blue. That's pretty strong. They're going into the Stash, and they have Swamp, so Stash will give them blue again. But not having blue in a vintage blue mirror, pseudo blue mirror, is a big deal. Okay, they had blue anyway. I'm just gonna Pyroblast this. Time Walk when you have the initiative is just so fucked. Okay, I can play Iconoclast, or I can Brainstorm and try to get Iconoclast plus some action right now. How would that even work? It wouldn't, because if I Brainstorm into something else, yeah. Because Brainstorm is the only extra card in my hand right now. If I cast the Brainstorm and find the land to cast Iconoclast, then it's clearly not a spell. All right, I've been snuffed. Maybe I just don't Wasteland last turn. Oh, Oko, okay. If they start elking my Moxen, it's high risk because it gives me a creature. All right, yeah, elking your own treasure makes a lot more sense. No risk there. Merchant Scroll for Ancestral is a way to go here. Just hope for the best. Ancestral myself. Okay, we did hit. They're going into Throne of the Dead 3, so it's not a great hit, but we are in there. Tundra. That was the wrong land. What am I doing? What the fuck, man? Okay. I wanted to get white for unknown reasons. forgetting that Black Lotus needs to make blue for this turn to function. I guess I'll just put Lurrus in my hand now that I've found myself in this position through entirely my own fault. Okay, off we go. Throne of the Dead 3. They have 7 damage on board already. My 14 life. Second Arcro Sneak. That sends them back into the initiative room, the first room. They failed to find only 1 basic in the deck, it seems. Coco makes a food. And it would be great if I draw a land here. Arcanist is not what I needed. Guess I'll start with Lurrus, see if we get there. Here's Lurrus. Here's Black Lotus. Are we going to hardcast Force on my Lotus? What's happening right now? They only have 4 mana. That's not an option. It'll push Lurrus in response. Sure, that's gone. Make blue this time. Red. Iconoclast. Brainstorm. What do I need? Land Time Walk off this Brainstorm? And Force of Will. That's not it. I can... Is there any universe where I'm alive? I don't think so. I can Mystic Sanctuary, Ancestral to the top of the deck. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yeah, they have a Menace creature. I'll put back Force of Will and Scalding Tarn. Oh, Mystic Sanctuary, I don't even have enough. Yeah, there was no line here. Okay, GG's. Yeah, Game 1, I just didn't know what they were doing. In Game 2, they were able to punch through the sneak. I didn't have the second layer of permission to get through it. GG's, really cool deck. On to the next one. This video is sponsored by Moxfield.com, the easiest way to build Magic decks online. Moxfield supports over 30 formats, including Legacy and every other format you'll see on this channel. They have multiple customizations so you can view your deck how you want. Text view, stacks, grid, custom grouping by type, subtype, color, light mode, dark mode. However you want to see your deck, they can provide it for you. My favorite feature is you can choose your set printing, make the deck look exactly how you want it to. The deck screen features expandable sections that show you what tokens your deck makes, your recent change history to the deck, stats about mana curve and opening hand distribution, mana cost distribution. You can deal out sample hands and even play test the deck. Island Ponder. You know I'm keeping this one. This site has everything. Follow me on Moxfield.com to keep up with decks I'm playing for the channel and what I'm up to in paper. I'll see you there. I'm on the play for what appears to be a Lurrus mirror in round 3. Lurrus mirrors are some of the best Magic I'll ever play. I'm going to keep this hand with Ancestral Recall and Time Walk in it. Better believe it. Start with a Bauble, see what they're up to. Baleful Strix. Okay. I believe I want a Time Walk first. Well, way ahead here. If I can find a Pyroblast or something that protects my Ancestral, it's going to be really hard to lose. Go to my bonus turn, draw a bonus card. Wasteland, Dreadhorde Arcanist. Yeah, don't mind if I do. Okay. Volcanic Island, Dreadhorde Arcanist. I'm going to start with Dreadhorde. Because this thing's scary enough, it might elicit a counterspell. It didn't. Now I'll fire off my Ancestral. It might have Misstep. Okay, Force Pitching Snapcaster, sure. Okay, cool thing about Dreadhorde Arcanist is that it can cast spells from your graveyard. They are a black deck. If they have removal, then we're kind of right back where we started. They have the Mox. They could at the very least just put Strix in front of me. Here's Strix. Bug Lurrus is pretty cool. Oh, backup Arcanist. Don't mind if I do. Last time I played this deck, somebody complained about how I say Arcanist. Look it up. That's how you say that card. That's how you say that word. I said Arcanist when it was printed too, but it turns out that's just wrong. You can be wrong if you want. No one's going to stop you. But don't complain about me doing it right for the viewers. Alrighty. They took the trade. I fired off the Ancestral. How about a Wasteland? And a Preordain. Treasure Cruise. Okay. Bottom the land, top the cruise. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Gonna Ponder and then play Arcanist. Strip Mine and Plow. These are all going to be good cards for this matchup. And bonus Arcanist. Enjoy. Remember when I said this deck doesn't do anything broken in the deck tech? Certainly feels broken when you draw this many pieces of power. Yeah, they're done. Okay, a bug Lurrus strategy is what we're up against here. Seen Baleful Strix and Snapcaster Mage. Once again, Force of Negation seems medium. I don't think I need 4 plows. 3 is already kind of a large number, and if their creatures are blue, the Pyroblast cover a lot of that gap. Lavinia is medium. She always will affect a game she's part of in some way, at least demanding removal or something, but there are matchups where she's low enough impact it might not be worth including, and I think this is one of them. This is where I'm going. My hand for game 2, significantly less broken. No removal, no counter spells. I do have a Wasteland. Opponent kept 7. Yeah, I'll run this. Misty Rainforest. Underground Sea. Mox Sapphire. They time walk, they're just playing my game from last game. Okay, Ancestral. Alright, yeah, they're just playing my game from last time. It's their turn to go busted. Mox Pearl. Okay. That's interesting. Normally the super fair decks don't play off-color Moxen, unless this one is air quotes on color because of Lurrus. Here's me with a Scalding Tarn. Go. After my opponent played 3 mana sources and then replaced them all. Preordain, go for it. Top bottom to the Preordain. Okay, I guess they're just a 4-color deck. Or maybe it's Esper, and we just saw their one of Bayou and Deathrite Shaman. That might be what's happening here. Okay, I can Mystical Tutor for Ancestral Recall and try to go nuts here. With 5 cards in hand, this gets bricked by everything. I could also end-step Brainstorm, Emergency Brainstorm, which never feels good, but Vintage is a powerful format. Right, I'm gonna crack my Scalding Tarn now, and I'll go for the Ancestral. We need a Haymaker to get back in this game anyway. Ancestral Recall to the top of my deck. Draw for turn. Now the big question is, I could Wasteland their Tundra before I Ancestral. That at least turns off Flusterstorm as interaction they could have. It actually leaves them with very little interaction they could have, other than Misstep and Force. But the bad news is Wasteland sucks here. If Deathrite Shaman and 2 Moxen in play, like the mana denial is basically irrelevant. I think I'm going to go for it, though. I just really need to maximize this Ancestral's ability to resolve. Did float blue. Pass through phases. Second main. Ancestral Recall myself. Had the misstep. Life is pain. Okay, we're very dead here. Let's just enjoy the ride and see more of their deck along the way. Immediately replace the Tundra. Exile my Ancestral right away to JVP. Okay. That's a fun one. Brainstorm, I need you to save me here, buddy. Yeah, okay. They know how to do this. I'm going to concede this game. They get to cast Ancestral Recall again next turn. They have Deathrite available. They can put Lurrus in their hand. We're just not doing that. Maybe I do want all 4 plows now that we've seen more creatures in the deck. Dress Down might be mediocre. On the one hand, they're a deck with creatures in it. On the other hand, there's no Thassa's Oracle, no constructs. They're just all... They still have power and toughness if I dress them down. Alright, let's go. On the play, Mox Pearl for mana. No thank you. I'll get in this one. This is only slightly better, but I am in for it. Bottom Volcanic Island, and I'll start my turn. This is one of those ones that needs some help, but Pyroblast is a nice 1-for-1 answer to most of the super busted things they do. Time Walking, get me through. Well, they have Black Lotus, so maybe we're out of luck anyway. I'll Spellbomb off of Black Lotus, okay. JVP. I will Pyroblast this card. Still have their land drop, so if they walked me into a Wasteland here, it's going to connect. They have Force backup, Pitching Force, okay. If they have the Force backup and the Wasteland, my goodness. Yeah, I could have waited for end step to blast the Jace as removal, and then maybe they don't play the Wasteland. I drew Mox Sapphire anyway. Let's just play that same turn again. I'll start with Volcanic Island, because if I draw EI, I want to be able to cast it. Time Walk. And Swords of Plowshares, okay. I will be removing this Jace from play. Okay, they're just firing off Nile Spellbomb. Didn't get a card draw off of it. It takes Time Walk out of the game. I guess it turns off Treasure Cruise. It's probably what they were worried about. That's not what I'm doing. Words to Plowshares and pass the turn. Okay. They have 3 cards in hand and no permanents to my 1 card in hand and 3 permanents. They appear to be casting a 1-mana spell. Don't be the one I don't want. Oh, okay. That makes sense. Firing off the first spell bomb, knowing you got a second. Play around the card you can play around. Aggressive iteration off the top. Let's go. Okay, I think it's... Do I need Mox Ruby anymore? I could Prismatic Ending the spell bomb. I could also just put Ending in hand to answer the next creature. I think that's the way to go. Ending to hand, Ruby to the bottom. They'll preordain. And you generally want to fetch before you preordain in case you top. God, yep. And right, top. Should have done it, but here we are. I found 2 good cards though. Not going to complain. Okay, Emergency Spellbomb to draw a card in the main phase. You can have that. Mox Jet. Okay, I am actually going to shuffle away this Swords to Plowshares. I have Prismatic Ending for the next creature anyway. What's the rush here? 2 cards in hand, can't fluster. And I'll take my shot with Ponder. See if I find protection. Dreadhorde Arcanist. That can go. Yeah, I'll keep this Ponder. Ancestral myself. Okay, that resolved. And I'm not going to get greedy. Well, they did just miss a land drop. I could Prismatic Ending the Mox, play Preordain, and see how the game progresses from there, or I could just shove Dreadhorde Arcanist and bet. I sense weakness. I'm not going to get silly here. Dreadhorde, let's go. There's an Ancestral in the graveyard. Let's use it. Treasure Cruise, that's pretty good. And no answer to the Arcanist, and they're just done. I love vintage players. You get slightly behind, on to the next game. Good one. And let's do that. On to the next match. We're a few rounds into the video. Thanks for sticking with me. Friendly reminder that if you're still here and having fun, smash that subscribe button. And if you want to play what I'm playing, you can use my affiliate link for TCG Player to support the channel while you shop for cards, and you can try any deck anytime with a cardhoarder.com loan account for Magic Online. All these links are in the video description below. Now back to the league. On the draw in round number 4. If this is a creature matchup of any kind, I'm in good shape. If it's not, my hand's kind of sus. My hand does get to quickly figure out what's going on with the probe. I'm going to keep it. Probe is information, it's velocity, it feeds the Treasure Cruise. Brainstorm can get rid of these plows if it's not a matchup for that. Opponent's on 4 though, and continues to mulligan. Might not have time for all this if it's a Bazaar deck. But there are Bazaar decks that are soft to plow, so we'll see how fast of a Bazaar strategy they are, if that is what's going on. Actual Dredge is at kind of an all-time unpopularity, being replaced by a lot of cool, grindy, mid-range Bazaar decks. And we'll see what we're up against here. It may still just not even be Dredge. Mox Emerald, Wasteland. Okay, this does look like a mid-range Bazaar deck that kind of missed. Let's start with a probe, see what we're up against. They got 2 cards in hand. See what they are. Foundry Inspector and Saga. Okay. So it's a Saga Shops deck that didn't get there. I'll take that too. Scalding Tarn and Mox Ruby get in. I'm not going to strip mine a Wasteland when they've shown me Urza Saga. There's the Saga. Here's the Inspector. I'm going to end step Plow. And I'll probably use the same land to Brainstorm on my turn. I would like to find the next source of mana. Oh dear. That's much better. So, is it? If they waste me, they can't use Saga. If I strip them, it puts them in a Saga or Bust situation. Or they have to Wasteland back and hope. Oh, this Iconoclast. I do have another land, it's just not a good one. Yeah, this is really interesting. I could also strip mine the Wasteland and hope they don't find a mana source for Saga. How bad is Saga if they do hit? I do have another Plow. I'll be on board with Iconoclast. Yeah, I'm actually going to strip their Wasteland. Okay, let's hope this pays out. I don't know that I'd make this play against someone with 5 cards in their hand who didn't mull to 4. Okay. Caught him slipping over there. Oh my god. Oh, I'll attack for 2. And I'll drop another one of these and play the Sanctuary. Just investing in the future at the expense of now. Saga can go get like Soul Ring, and then they have mana to play the game with. Just gotta hope to fade this turn and go nuts next turn. They did get Soul Ring, and Nettle Cyst is the play. That's an entirely beatable object. The Plow in hand and the board here. What do they even needle? This land? Fisher's Bauble? Fisher's Bauble. Okay, that was the call. A reasonable decision. Thematic ending. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I do have to brainstorm if I want to cruise. Gosh. All right. Get out of here. Okay, I can play another Iconoclast and clear the Nettle Cyst. Okay. If I use Gush, I don't need this land right now. I do still have my land drop. So if I put Plow and land back, and I'll end up with all of these anyway if I Gush. Land and Plow back. I could also just not Iconoclast. Prismatic Ending, the Soul Ring, Plow the... Yeah, okay. Prismatic Ending, Soul Ring. Yeah, I'll just overpower them the old-fashioned way. I'll settle for just 2 Iconoclasts in play. Gush, Tundra, Swords to Plowshares, the Germ. That's 8 tokens in play. Yeah, they've had enough. Good shit. Yeah, sometimes your fair deck opponent just mulls to 4. Okay, we're playing against an aggressive slant on Saga shops. Serenity comes in, Wasteland, Swords of Plowshare, Shattering Spree. Got Pyroblast. Dress Down's good. Lavinia's much better on the play than the draw. She will shut them down if she starts, if you get her down ahead of them, but that rarely happens. I'm going to cut Lavinia. There's no Hurkyl's Recall to scroll for, but scroll for Ancestral is so central to this deck and everything it's doing. You don't really need Gitaxian Probe. You barely care what's in their hand. I do like the enormous land count in the deck for this matchup specifically. Mishra's Bauble kind of awkward against the Sphere deck. And they demonstrated a willingness to just game 1 Piddling Needle Mishra's Bauble. I'll go down to one of those. It's still part of the Lurrus chain, but it's not that great. I think maybe Gush is the last worst card in this deck. Okay, off we go. Risky. I've got Ancestral, but only 1 colored source against a deck that's definitely going to have as many Wastelands as it can play. There are Shops deck, they could have Spheres. I'm going to mulligan this Ancestral Recall hand. So it's also a double Wasteland hand. If they shop Sphere, I can Wasteland. All right, I'll keep. We're going to be behind on the draw against shops no matter what. I'll just swing for the fences. Patchwork Automaton. All right, that one could kill me real quick. Ox Sapphire. Okay, off you go. Have fun. Soul Ring. Yep. And Nettle Cyst. Mirrored across the pavement. I mean, if anything can get me out of this, it's Ancestral Recall. So I'm going to Tundra pass, and then I can Ancestral on their turn. Hope to dodge Wasteland. Sphere, Ancestral in response. I will force the Sphere if I draw a force. I love. Ancestraling into all these zeros when I could have done this on my turn feels bad, but you never know. Like, I could have just drawn 3 non-zeros and had to discard a bunch of cards. It's this Ballista. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Schmordered. There is not a way out of this under the Sphere. Yeah, we are not dead on board, but dead next turn. Run out 2-turn clock and can't function under Sphere. Okay, cool. Took a risk on the draw, didn't work out. Do I want these Lavinias on the play? What would I cut for them? A Bauble and a Force of Negation. Force of Negation misses all the creatures in their deck, but it does hit the Spheres. Oh, Mental Misstep doesn't need to be in the deck. Why didn't you tell me, chat? Still had Mental Misstep in. Okay, if I cut Bauble, Lurrus is down to the creatures and Black Lotus to recur with. I think that's plenty. Okay, I'm going in with my Lavinias in tow. One thing that comes up in every video is people ask me why don't I bring in Tabernacle against shops? Because if they have like one Mox in play or one Soul Ring, one Mana Crypt, the Tabernacle is completely non-functional. It's easy to imagine this nut draw where you get to Wasteland their Mishra's Workshop or Wasteland their Ancient Tomb, then Mishra's Workshop doesn't play for Tabernacle, and off we go, but that's not real life. Settle down. Speaking of not real life, this hand's really good. I'm going to keep this. I can Iconoclast and get 2 triggers. I'm not holding up Force at the end of it, but I'm pretty far ahead with multiple creatures and multiple bonus mana sources. And I can turn to get and cast Lurrus. Fortunate that I'm 1 mana short of hard casting Force here. I'm just going to pass. Reasonable turn 1. Let's see how unreasonable theirs is. Imagine what a legend we'd be living if this last card in my hand was blue and not Mystic Sanctuary. If this was just my start, turn 1 Iconoclast, 2 bros, Force backup, make a bro, Lurrus, get it, cast Lotus, make a bro. Okay, opponent thought for a little bit and led on Mana Crypt. Automaton. Okay. Iconoclast is excellent against Automaton if they have Walking Ballista to clear. If they go Shop Walking Ballista or Shop Mox Walking Ballista, oh my god, I would lose this game basically on the spot. And maybe that's not true because Lurrus can refire the Iconoclast eventually. Wasteland, that does stop the Lurrus, but not great. Ooh, didn't stop the Lurrus after all. Tundra, take blue, get Lurrus, play Lurrus, refire, get a friend, and I'm going to attack with everything. I will trade Iconoclast for Automaton here easily all day. And passing the turn, and a Crypt, won their flip. Crypt Mine, okay, that's not going to get him there. Nettle Cyst is pretty big. It's a 3/3. Okay. An Automaton is on cast, not on resolve or enter. So that'll grow even if I force the next thing. Okay, I'm gonna Black Lotus for blue, blue, blue. And cast Preordain. Hopefully this Preordain just sets me off. Oh yeah. I have 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I can Treasure Cruise here. I'll top. Play the Lotus. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I'd rather no, I'll leave the red open. Exile Preordain and Volk. Leave Lotus in there for Lurrus consumption. Wasteland can hit their Strip Mine. Sure. And Suffering over there. Preordain. Keep them coming. Shattering Spree, Mox Sapphire. Top. Mox Sapphire. Maybe I'm just supposed to shatter the Nettle Cyst here and punch for 1,000,000. I can try that next turn. I could lose my 1 or 2 soldiers to poke for 1 here. That's not worth it. Help me out, Mana Crypt. I lost the flip. Take 3. So did I not play? Oh no, I wastelanded. Okay. I was like, why is the Sanctuary still in my hand? I did wasteland them though. Shattering Spree is only good for 1, but that Nettle Cyst is pretty important right now. Another wasteland. It's not going well for my opponent. Foundry Inspector could unlock and unload here. They're at 13. If I kill Nettle Cyst and just punch, I am gonna force. I just smell blood and want to push. This Mana Crypt is doing work. They're clearly low on resources. I don't want Foundry Inspector to unlock anything. Oh right, I have Black Lotus in my graveyard too for the spree. I actually forgot about that. So this is way better than I even thought it was. They're just dead. Okay, 1, 3, 4. This one will cost me 5 or 3. Why did I think this says ward 4? This is so much worse than I thought it was. I'm going to target Nettle Cyst and replicate this 2 times. This kills their whole board and smash. Yeah, it turns out Lurrus with Black Lotus. Hell of an interaction, if you hadn't heard. On to the final round. For the absolute best Magic the Gathering apparel on the market, check out the link in the video description to coalesceapparel.shop and be sure to use the code BoshNRoll for 10% off when you check out. I'm on the play in the final round with an Ancestral Recall in my hand. I'm going to keep. Positive Records locked, playing for that bread and butter 4-1, got a Lurrus Mirror. I'm going to Ancestral in their upkeep. Their upkeep, it won't have to go to discard. It plays around Force of Negation, and it's before they draw their card for the turn and unload on Pyroblasts and Force Pitching Force. Got 2 cards out of that instead of 3. A little disappointing. Let's see if they clap back. Uh-oh. Dragon's Rage Channeler. Okay. Opponent's low to the ground. I'm not doing this sort of thing. I'm going to wasteland them. If I can keep them from functioning, I'm in a good spot. I can answer this DRC when I need to. I'm hanging out on Mystical Tutor. I'm not sure what I want to do with that or when I need to do it yet. What spell in my deck would I want to get with Mystical here? The obvious one's already spent. Just grab Time Walk, try to pull ahead, Treasure Cruise, and invest in future. I'll Mystical in the end step. Okay, now the hard part of deciding what I actually want. Gush plays here. Prismatic Ending is another out. Pyroblast. Yeah, I actually just want Pyroblast. That does a lot for a little. And I'd like to Swords to Plowshares this DRC before it goes any deeper. Wasteland ready for the next land they present. I'm not going to get Ancestral off the top here because of my blast. They could dash Ragavan, they could DRC, they could Arcanist, Iconoclast, alright. Counter target spell if it's blue. This one sure is. Okay. The rest of Iteration could hit a lot of... yeah, I'm going to EI here. It could even hit a Wasteland. It could hit Black Lotus and I still get to play Wasteland. Okay, I'm going to put Volk in my hand, bottom Tundra, exile Lotus. I'm going to waste their red. Play Lotus. I could pop Lurrus in hand here. Yeah, I'm just going to do that. I'll grab my Lurrus. That plays around the one of Prismatic Ending, clearing my Black Lotus. This deck's not going to have discard spells. I did leave them with Swords to Plowshares mana. They have more mana anyway. Yeah, hitting these land drops on the regular, despite all my wastelanding, is cramping me. Okay, a post land drop EI. Vintage has plenty of 0-cost cards that they could still cash out, but this might end up being Anticipate. Swords to Plowshares exiled. Cool. They could have put that in hand and didn't, which makes me think they have more. Let's see if I'm right. Take a little Gataxian peek. Prismatic Ending Breach. Okay, they are a Breach deck. Interesting. They can clear Lurrus, but I can get DRC in play before that and make them have a tougher call. And notice they do have the Prismatic Ending, so using the Lotus right away was the call. Here's Lotus again. And here are 2 things to stress the Prismatic Ending with. And both of these represent an Ancestral Recall's worth of cards. Took the Arcanist, took out the literal Ancestral Recall, and played Flooded Strand after I saw Scalding Tarn. Okay, let's cash this somehow. Oh my god, that was one of the best possible draws. This lets me draw 2 right now. Tell me what you're working with. Swords to Plowshares, bummer. Hopefully they shuffle that away. And I'll just play out my land here. See if they shuffle in my end step. Did not. Shuffled in their draw step. Get rid of the Swords to Plowshares. And I'll draw for my bauble, then I'll bauble them. The draw is Gataxian Probe. Okay, so they have Probe, Breach, land. At the very least, they could Underworld Breach, Probe some large number of times. And just draw a bunch of cards here. Or just draw another Plow. Son of a biscuit. And they're still going to Breach and Probe a bunch. There's 12 cards in their graveyard. They can draw 4 here. They still have their Lurrus and mine's gone, which is... I always think of Lurrus mirrors as the scene in the first Fast and the Furious movie where Brian's racing Dom for the first time. And Brian's like, I almost had you. And Dom's like, went too early, kid. Like blowing your Nas before the race is over. Opponents still got their Nas activation, I don't. Now they can Iconoclast from the graveyard. They found a Mox along the way here. They are mercifully out of cards in the graveyard to escape with. Alright, deck, help me out. 2 draws. Not helpful. Might be helpful. Preordain, let's go. Bottom both of these. That ship has sailed. I'm looking for treasure cruise. I'll take Swords of Plowshares, though. Take the immediate threat off and pass the turn. They are still sitting on 5 cards in hand. Lurrus still waiting. There's Lurrus in hand now. Okay, that's a Mystic Sanctuary. That's a card in my deck. Bauble, that was a great card for them to have. On the turn, they deploy Lurrus. Kept their top card with DRC. Hate that. The Bauble also gave them Delirium to connect for 3 before they Lurrus and then draw another card. Oh, I probably want to get Gush. Oh, wait, no. This isn't Demonic Tutor. They didn't Lurrus. Shit. That's bad. They're holding up Force. A Mystic Sanctuary. My Ancestral back. This is still the best thing going on. Draw for Bauble. I draw for turn. I'm not going to just drop Ancestral into this hyper obvious Force of Will. Letting them draw more cards, not ideal either. I am at 17. I can take some hits. There's Lurrus. And if they just turned off the hardcast Force. Can redeploy Bauble or they can Brooch me here. I would like to take a draw step, see if I can. Well, I only play 1 Pyroblast. What am I trying to draw here? My own Force, I guess. Bauble themselves with all these fetch lands, good call. They like what they saw, apparently. I'm going to take my draw and hope it helps. Gonna plow Lurrus. Let's start there. Don't need to fight over this, and now this isn't getting better. Ancestral time. Can't get flustered here. Force is going to get me anyway. Misstep. What a beating. At least I gave them something to think about on the plow. And now we're behind on the board and in hand and in every conceivable way that matters. Iconoclast. And their whole engine's online. They get to look at an extra card off the Preordain thanks to DRC. They're getting 1/1s. Popping cards with the Preordain. I'm not going to concede because this is still vintage and Treasure Cruise gets me going. Ponder finds Gush. We're off. Lavinia and Preordain. So Preordain, if I keep this, Preordain would bottom see the next card that guaranteed aren't Lavinia or Force of Will. Or I could just shuffle and could see any one of these 3 cards again. But I save a mana. I'm gonna shuffle. Negation. Alright. Now I think it's fair to concede. I want to see if I can shake out any more information from their deck. Like if they play more than 1 Breach. It's good information to have. Hey, look at that. Exactly the information I wanted. Force of negation this. And now I'll F6. Okay, that was answered. Taking 6 down to 5. That on board next turn. One more chance here. Cruise or Gush. Let's make something happen. Preordain. Find me home, buddy. Force of Will, land, bottom. And Force of Will. Okay. Got me. Yeah, I had the first Lurrus. They had the last Lurrus. Tough crowd. Pyroblast is good. Swords is good. Force of Negation, not that important. I think I like Flusterstorm for the matchup. Soul Guide Lantern. That one cantrips as well as draws cards if I need to. I don't know that I want to go all the way in on Tormod script. In Legacy, in a matchup like this, I would cut all my forces. Just all 6 of them out. Vintage is much more powerful than Legacy, but I also am getting lower to the ground and interacting in a different way. I think I'm going to run the no Force of Will Gambit here. And Dress Down. Probably not that important. Okay, let's go. No Force of Wills versus a known combo deck. What could go wrong? Ooh, tough crowd here. I have the Ancestral. This Mystic Sanctuary causing trouble. I could just Mystic Sanctuary go. Not a great vintage start, but if we end up grinding, it's actually pretty good. I'm going to mulligan. I've done worse. I have turn 1 Arcanist, but no spells to cast and no blue mana and no spell. So I'm not there's no top deck either way. Going to 5. Okay. Keep this 5. Bottom Sanctuary, and I think it's Wasteland. I just need spells here. Fox Sapphire. Preordain. Ponder Pyroblast. I like both of these. I'll top my land and then bobble them. And I end up with the Ponder and the Pyroblast. Or Mod Script on the top. Okay. They're respecting the possibility that I'm also a Breach deck, or just acknowledging that I have Dreadhorde Arcanist and Mystic Sanctuary, both of which they saw game 1. Syndra. Static ending. Okay. Aggressive, but I respect it. Didn't play out their Tormod script. I wish I could Lotus Breach them here with Tormod script in hand. Not a thing my deck does, though. This Ancestral Recall, I'm very interested in, though. I want to protect it with Pyroblast in the future, rather than just fire it off now. I don't want a second Pyroblast in my hand, I don't think. At least not at the cost of missing my land drop. Oh no. Such a fool. I could have easily fetched in my upkeep, and just... That was just so bad. Well, now they have to go to discard. You only drew 2. Sucker. Something. Okay. Arcanist. I could try to commit that. Flusterstorm and Pyroblast both get me here. Alright, I'll run the Arcanist and just for the best. That was such a bad fetch. No excuse for it. Literally just go to your turn, untap, fetch, and then the same play isn't possible. Unfortunately, they can just leave Crypt in play and wait for Arcanist to target. They don't need to fire off Crypt now, and then I get to Ancestral twice. That is, if my Arcanist is even in play. Can't have Narset or Dak here. Uh-oh. Tormod script makes a Dingus and surveils 1. Oh, Mishra's Bobble too. Alright, go nuts. Bobble will be the 3rd card type. They can get Delirium at will here. They are tapped out, though. No Pyroblast, no Flusterstorm possible. My Ancestral will get to Ancestral. See if they get antsy on this Tormod script. There's no reason to. It would just be a full bad play to do that. But I'm allowed to hope. Okay. I'm going to draw for my turn and let them draw for Bobble before I fire off Ancestral. Okay, they saw that. It's a good one. I'll run the Lotus out there. I should go to combat first, actually. So if I go to combat, target, Preordain. Let's get this Tormod script out of the way. The Crypt is gone. I can use Plow to protect Arcanist in combat, depending on how many creatures they want to put in front of it. Just that one. Swords to Plowshares it. Okay, that just worked. And they take 1 trample. Got him. Build 1 power trample creature. You love to see it. Ancestral myself, 2nd main. Let's go. Do have a Force of Will, which means I have to pop Lotus for red, which isn't really the color I wanted to use this for. But I'll at least make them have it, rather than popping Lotus for blue up front. Any mana source puts Lurrus in my hand here, or cast Iconoclast. Let's do it that way. Okay, we're cooking. They're down to 2 cards in hand. We've both fired our Ancestrals. We both have our Lurrus in the command zone still. They're a couple turns ahead on Iconoclast, but Arcanist is way better. What those last cards in hand are. Underworld Breach, yeah, that's a good one. Am I dead? Or are you just Ancestraling 3 times? There's the first of the Ancestral Recalls. Yeah, they can Ancestral at least twice, and then also Tormod script and clear my Ancestral, which also turns off my Treasure Cruise, which they've now seen with Gadaxian Probe. Yeah, Breach is quite the eject button. I talked in the deck tech about having Breach in your deck or not in your deck, and then your opponent has to respect it like you do. But what if, bear with me here, you actually did have Breach in your deck, and you could do stuff like cast 3 Ancestral Recalls in a turn? Yeah, I thought we were doing okay for a second there, but we're not okay. We're very, very, very dead. You know what my top card is too? After the Bauble. They can Crypt me and just replay Crypt or Probe 1 more time. They can easily get 1 more card in their graveyard at least. I'm not going to trade my Iconoclast for theirs. If I have any hope left in this game, it involves my powerful creatures that are in play. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay. Well, let's cruise. Easy Pyroblast from the opponent with 1 million cards in their hand. And if I attack, they'll exile my cards. Yeah, they got me. GG's. Breach goes way over the top in the mirror. Okay, a 3-2 record with slightly bigger Jeskai control. I will say I didn't really miss RAGAVAN, though after 10 rounds with various versions of this deck, finally pairing into the pseudo mirror where they have reach and I don't, holy crap, that felt crazy. You almost have to leave in your Force of Wills in a matchup where Force of Will is bad in a lot of spots. Or maybe I'm just supposed to have Tormod Crypt in there out of an abundance of respect. Like I had Lantern in. Maybe I'm supposed to have Crypt as well. Yeah, Breach just busted open what otherwise looked like close games in both Game 1 and Game 2 there. The rest of the league, though, we were able to just pick apart most of our opponents, overwhelming card advantage, incidental creature stuff going on. Our other loss was to Brewer's advantage. Had no idea my opponent's Underground Sea would represent a turn 2 protected initiative, so they got me good there. Positive records in the books, though. Francis York Morgan, I think you might be onto something cutting RAGAVAN, though that Dragon's Rage Channeler Breach business was pretty impressive out of our last opponent. Personally, when I play Vintage, I want to really, really do Vintage stuff. I want to be able to go broken. I would probably play Breach myself, and that's not based on any particular metagame considerations other than it's Vintage, let's go Vintage. But that's just how I approach this high-powered format. Thank you for the deck, Francis. Everyone else, thanks for watching. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe. Let me know if you like seeing Vintage. I always love playing Vintage, so I hope you do enjoy watching it. Check out the Patreon in the video description, all the other stuff that supports the channel, and I'll see you next time.